Hi everyone, welcome to another release event. It's been a little while since I've recorded. Haven't had much opportunity. We're going to sort by rare as usual, and we've got some good ones. We've got, well, Spine of Ishtar is an interesting one. At least there's a Steel Saw Hulkite, which is quite strong. But Spine of Ishtar is interesting. It's a little expensive for removal, but the chance of being able to reuse it makes it definitely worth playing, especially in sealed where you're probably going to get to 7 mana. And as I scroll down, there's a treasure mage to go fetch it, so that's pretty cool. Mimic that. Mirror Reservoir is something to think about if I have the mirrors to go with it. And Cryptoplasm, I don't know if it's an outright bomb, but it can copy some bombs. And so if my blue is good, Cryptoplasm will likely make the cut. Looking at the uncommons, I've got a Scrap Melter, and well, I'm going to say Treasure Mage because with 2 6 mana plus, well, 2 good cards. I'm not going to say 2 bombs, but Steel Hulkite's a bomb. Spine of Ishtar is pretty strong fetch target for Treasure Mage, so Treasure Mage is pretty sweet, and it's Vidalcan Animist, which I haven't had much chance to play with, but I've seen it be pretty good. It's a little bit better than I thought it was. Like I knew it was good. Like the effect is strong, but I thought it might be a little expensive for what it did. But in this format, especially with all the X1s, it can dominate pretty ridiculously. Otherwise, okay, at this point, I think it's worth just going through the colors. I'll just do all the artifacts together rather than the artifact uncommons first. So let's, whoa, there's a lot of artifacts as usual, I guess. You know, before let me just go for removal and first, just cause, like, before I start thinking about origin spell, I might want to know, is my white even worth looking at? And probably not. There's a Divine Offering, which could be splashed if I'm short artifact removal, but that's about it. In blue, my opinion has finally gone down a little bit of this section. I still think it's really good if you have enough fodder, but it is a little bit tough to get enough ways of sacrificing it without destroying your board. In black, I've got a Spread the Sickness and a Grasp of Darkness. Both are worth considering with this Morbid Plunder as well. In red, I've got a Blast. That's about it. Green, we're just going to ignore. There's a Tangle Angler, but beyond that, it's pretty poor, and it does not look like Infect is going to be the plan here. There's a bit of Infect, but I don't think that even if there's good artifact creatures, I think this pool likely has better options than going Infect. So blue, black, and red have the cards we're interested in. We can always splash one of them, and we'll see based on the artifacts. So there's really not that much depth in any of these colors. It's worth noting. So hopefully our artifacts have some strong cards. Life Staff, usually worth thinking about at least. Without enough smaller creatures, I don't really like running it, but it's a good way to turn things like Mirrors and Mirror Sire into a relevant card later on, or even early on. Trade with their threats and gain some life so you don't fall too far behind. You've all played with the card, you know what it does. Couple more. Oh. Infect cards. Probably can just ignore them, but Ronageth, we'll see. I guess I don't know how much proliferate I'm going to need. Doesn't look like much. Black card, blue card, Reservoir we wanted to think about. 3 mirrors, none of which are Perilous Mirror. means oh, there's a fourth mirror, but still probably not. Put that there. Wall of Tanglecord, good defensive guy. Not excited about Spin Engine or Volshock Replica. They're possible filler for later on, but I think a 3-1 for 3, unless you're aggressive, and I'm not usually aggressive in sealed, it's just not what you want. Beast Strider, good way to fill the curve. Dross Ripper as well. Golem Artisan's a guy I'm likely going to want to play here. Rusted Slash is definitely worth thinking about, especially with the Spine of Ishtaza, and the fact that I'm probably going to be pretty artifact heavy here. I think it makes sense to have at least one artifact sacrificing outlet, and this will be fine even if I don't have the Spine of Ishtaza in hand, right? Like if I'm playing enough artifacts, this will still be a reasonable guy. Phyrex and Juggernaut I like. I don't know if I like playing two of them, but I mean, I guess it depends. I do have the Treasure Mage, but I still don't know if I need two. I have 3 targets is more than enough to run a Treasure Mage, especially when one of them is Steel Hellkite. I would run Treasure Mage with just Steel Hellkite, because at worst is a Grey Ogre, which is not that bad. There's a Sultan that can fill the gaps. I don't have an Arbalest, so if I had an Arbalest, I'd just include it with blue, but you don't really have to otherwise. Razorfield Rhino is another potential guy I can fetch with 6. I'm going to be pretty artifact heavy here. Unfortunately, not much payoff for Metalcraft in this pool. And then I'm just looking to fill with my blue and my red, I guess. So I have 25 cards here. Not all of them have to make the cut. I think it's pretty likely this Mirror Reservoir is going to get cut. I mean, it's a little cute. I mean, you have the 4 mirrors, and you look a sacrifice outlet. You can make infinite, 1 per turn, 1 mirror token per turn. But yeah, nothing too broken. There's no excessive synergy with just random mirrors, and there's no really good mirror, like a mirror. What's his name? The Big Daddy mirror. 7 mana super mirror. Don't have him, and I have no Perilous mirror, so probably not going to make it. And I have Mimic Vat that can, with a sacrifice outlet, make a bunch of mirror tokens or whatever. Okay, so I mean, I think this looks pretty reasonable in terms of playing blue-black, splash red, no crazy mana requirements, and like I'm playing so many artifacts, at least so far. It looks like I can probably play a little bit more blue, but that even playing only 3 black cards, 2 of them being double black, that's going to be fine in this pool. Red's clearly the splash just because there's only 1 mana symbol in both the red cards. Okay, so in terms of blue cards, Steel Sabotage, Surtark is possible, depending on how many other blue cards I add. I mean, the way it stands now, like this is enough artifacts probably to run it, but it may not be needed anyway. I have removal. There's an Oculus. I need another. Well, I probably want to run Vivisection here. I do have the 3 mirrors. I have. I mean, even like dropping a Treasure Mage works fine enough, or a Mimic Vat token. And if I add an Oculus, that's more than enough fodder, I think. So let's see if we can make that work. I do like card advantage. There's also Lumen Grid Drake, which can probably make the cut here. Not sure I need another finisher, but I do have the option of a Scrapdriver Serpent. Turn the Tide is fine, but I think I have enough more powerful options that I don't need to run it. So I think it's just a matter of making the cuts. I don't think I'm going to include any of these guys. I'm going to need them. In red, there's not much. There's Helion, which is fine, but not needed. I have better options. The Rhino, actually, would be a decent one. I should probably think about the Rhino. Some heavy artifact with a Treasure Mage, and I can potentially get like a Treasure Mage on a Mimic Bat. Fetch all my 6-mana artifacts. Yeah, otherwise in red, there's just nothing that needs to be played here. This Crest is a fine sideboard card, but don't necessarily need to run it. I'm a little low on artifact removal. I have just the Scrap Melter and the Sabotage. So there's a good chance I side into Crush often enough, but I don't necessarily need to main deck it. Wall of Tangled's an option to cut here. Definitely, I think I'm going to cut the Serpent right off the bat. I think I'd rather just play the Rhino, since I can fetch it with the Treasure Mage. Wall of Tangled is possible cut. One of Dross Ripper or Peace Strider, I think, is a possible cut. I don't know about both. Can't really see cutting any of these guys, even though it is a little bit heavy on the 3-drops. Not too heavy. And Life Staff seems fine here. Oh, I do have the random green mana for the Wall of Tanglecord. Gotta make a lot of cuts. So maybe what I'll do is it'll just start by cutting things I'm thinking about cutting. What do I prefer between Dross Ripper and Peace Strider? With the Infect around, I guess maybe just randomly making it bigger. Potentially better. Let's do a little bit of sorting here. And I'll cut this Rhino for now as well. I need 2 to 3 more cuts here. I can probably get away with 16 land. I've got the Plating Mirror, the Copper Mirror, and the Plague Mirror. None of my mana mirrors fix my mana, which makes things a little bit more difficult. But again, my mana requirements really aren't that bad. I have 2 double blacks and the double blue, but I mean, any of these cards are not terrible later in the game, so it's fine if you stumble a little bit finding the second one. Huh. Can I cut Life Staff? I'm a little reluctant to cut the Life Staff. I can a lot of nice little guys to put it on. Don't mind having access to some way of getting a little life. I think I gotta keep this. Steel Sabotage, reasonably important. Galvanic Blow. I mean, I don't think any of these spells are really cuttable. Beyond that, really can't see cutting any of these spells. But I've got to cut the 2 worst. I mean, it's the right thing to just cut vivisection, and I think I like Oculus. Mirror Sire, I don't have much to go with the Mirror Sire, but I still like it as a nice little speed bump. It's a mistake I've been making once in a while, is cutting too many of my lower impact but decent sort of speed bumps. End up being a little too clunky. I guess I could cut one of these two, but I do want ways to win the game. Maybe I'll cut a Drake. Oh, it's pretty good. I got the bounce. Man, why do I suck so much at cutting? I'm married to every card in this deck. On a Mimic Vat's pretty good. I have 3.5 minutes, so we'll think this through properly. Okay, so I guess things I can think about are the Juggernaut, the section. Suppose I could cut Dross Ripper. I do want to have that one sacrifice outlet for artifacts. And Plague Mirror. Kinda, if I'm going to play 20, I'm going to play 16 lands. I don't know if I'm going to cut the Plague Mirror. Life Staff. I mean, Steel Sabotage I would cut if I had more than one other way of dealing with an artifact. I guess I have Spine and If that's a little bit of a slow way, or Steel Hellkite as a way of sort of killing an artifact. But plus, this can save. Like this can save my Hellkite, reuse my Spine of Ishtar, save any of my other artifacts, for that matter. So I think that's not a good cut. Okay, so I'll just cut. I'm going to cut the Dross Ripper, which I'm a little reluctant to do. I like the way it curves, but yeah. Vivisection? Maybe I'm overvaluing Vivisection. I don't know. I feel like it's decent here. Yeah, I'm going to keep the Vivisection, cut the Life Staff. A little reluctant to do that, but I'll cut the Life Staff and I'll bring it in if I need some life gain. I have the Peace Shredder to bring in too. And see what they suggest. 8-5-3. Probably want 3 red. No fixers. But I think I'm going to go more like 7-6. That's a little sketchy still. I can cut the Cryptic Plasma and make my mana easier, but Cryptic Plasma is pretty strong, I think. Go down to 2 red. It's a little sketchy, but I can't really play only 6 swamps with all these double black cells. And so final cut, maybe I can cut a mirror. I can't really afford to cut a mirror here. Cut a mirror and make my colored mana a little better. I think I'm just going to stick with this. Oop. And submit before I run out of time. And we'll adjust as we go. I'll see you round 1.